Let me ask you something. Do you ever feel like you're capable of more, but something keeps on holding you back? That's where Phill comes in. Phill is a professional master coach and a master practitioner in NLP, timeline therapy and hypnotherapy with years of real-world experience building and growing businesses. His passion is simple: helping you reimagine your life or your business, break through limitations and build unstoppable momentum for good. Whether you want a powerful one-off session or ongoing support where Phill walks you through every step of the way, everything is tailored to you and your goals. If you're ready for real, lasting change, Phill might be exactly who you've been looking for. To find out more what Phill does, just visit phillhanlon.com for more information. George & Co. create crafted spaces that stand the test of time. Royal Society of Architects Wales award winners and Wales Home of the Year regional winners. Featured on TV and in leading magazines, they are based in Merthyr and Swansea, designing exceptional homes across Wales. They proudly sponsor today's episode.
We're back for episode 39.
39.
Whoa. That sounds mad when it says it out loud.
39. Unbelievable.
And yeah, bit of a reunion for me on a personal level. And very, very nice indeed to have one of our main sponsors to actually take the chair this time. So Phill Hanlon, thank you very much. And you've
Absolutely,
got us
my pleasure.
In your lovely office as well. Which is more than an office. It's because it's like sensory overload, to be honest. I find myself drawn to different things all the time,
Especially the books.
Mainly the books. I'll be honest, because I'm thinking, oh yeah, I think I've heard of that, and then I'm looking at War and Peace. I'm like, I really should read that.
It's a nice distraction technique for some of my clients.
Yeah, it's cool. But obviously, you know, your line of work is kind of rooted and deep-rooted within the world of mental health and well-being. To someone who is kind of apprehensive or is nervous or that wouldn't know kind of what to expect coming to you, what could they expect straight off the bat?
Okay, so I'm not what you would call a conventional talking therapist, okay? What I do is a lot more direct. But what I do is I go at it with a massive heart. My main driver, and the reason why I set all of this up, why I got involved in this industry to start with, and I've been fascinated by the human mind since around November 96. That's when I started this journey. My whole driver is that I hate to see anybody in pain. And I will pretty much do anything I can to get them from that position to where they need to be.
Yeah.
Okay? So that means sometimes I'll be very direct, but I always do it with a big heart, and I do it with a lot of humor. I will take the mick out of myself all the way through the session. I do everything I can to put people at ease. And so when people come to see me, they automatically feel relaxed. It's one of the reasons why I set this room up as I have. I mean, obviously the viewers can only see part of it at the moment, but it is set up almost as a sensory overload, as you were saying. But it gives them things to look at and things to start asking questions about. I got the medals of my grandfather up there on the wall, and lots of different bits and pieces, the Macs and things. Some of my vinyl, and and it's just interesting for people. So it takes that edge off. It gives them that feeling of, oh, I feel a little bit more at home here.
It's like a conversation starter, pretty
Absolutely.
much. It's like an icebreaker sort of thing. If they can come in through that door and they are kind of expecting, right, I'm going to blurt out my inner darker secrets. Well, not secrets then, but inner thoughts. What way to kind of break the ice with that person you're going to talk to is with something around them sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've got to remember that when people come to see me in here, they've already been talking to me on the phone anyway. They've probably looked at my website. They might have looked at a load of the Trustpilot reviews and different things. And people are always saying, oh, he's so approachable and he cares so much. And one of the things that I pride myself on, because I do. I care. I'm a people person. I want people to have the best possible quality of life they can get. Yeah. And as I said, I will do anything I can to try and get them there. Yeah. And it just comes across, So I'll put people at ease, and then we'll just start conversations, see where things go, and slowly things will start coming out. Believe you me, some clients turn up and it's like, literally everything's coming out, and I can't write fast enough. And that's great, if that's what they want to do.
Yeah.
Because you've got to remember that different people have different support structures. Talking therapy is great for individuals, for example, who might not have close family or a good group of mates and friends around them that they can talk to regularly and offload. So sometimes when they go to a talking therapist, it might be the very first time they've actually expressed the fear or the trauma or whatever that they've gone through to another human being.
Yeah.
And when you think that way, that's it's really cathartic. It really powerful. Allows them to get to grips with something. It validates their experience in many ways. For me, I'm not the sort of person you come to and lie on a couch for 15 years once a week and talk until you're bored, For me, I just want to know just enough so that I can pinpoint exactly where the real pain problem is. And remember, the presenting problem is rarely the problem. There's always something else underneath, well, often anyway. What I always think of is that the presenting problem is like the socially acceptable face of the problem that people are usually willing to talk about, but they've never wanted to really look too much further.
Rather than the kind of more often than not stigma-filled kind of underlying causes.
Yeah.
We've had many guests and friends and family members, etc. ourselves, and I've heard the phrase, everybody should have a therapist. And it's something that I've had talking therapies myself, and I advocate quite a lot for talking it out and getting it off your chest, because I'm a big believer that it's better out there, no matter how awful it is, because when it's out there, it's out there. Because but kind of keeping it in is only damaging yourself. But I suppose you're in one of those unique positions in that even though you are very much a people person and you do care, that isn't to say that you yourself haven't had adversity and you don't have bad days. And how do you go into someone else's bad day when you may be having a bad day yourself, and still make it as productive?
I think for me, it's all about setting intention. So I'll give you an example. I've done a daily exercise, which is a gratitude exercise, every single day since November 1996, when I first discovered the exercise. Now, the gratitude exercise works for me because, number one, it's an antidote to any negative emotion that you might be feeling. You've got to remember that the center of the brain that creates emotion can't do positive and negative at the same time, like two sides of a coin. You can't see heads when you're looking at tails, and it's the same with the brain when it comes to emotion. So if you are centering on a positive emotion like gratitude, and what an incredible emotion that is, then you can't be then by default depressed or anxious or angry, so you're centering yourself on the positivity. Okay, now that's not positive thinking, it's just an appreciation of what you have.
Okay,
on the face of it, that's okay. It's almost like respite. But what's actually happening at a deeper level is that the exercise itself is rewiring the way that the brain looks at things. So there's part of your brain called the reticular activating system, which is responsible for what you actually experience in your life. It's deleting and distorting and generalizing so much information that comes into your brain so that you can make sense of it. But if you don't tell it what you want more of in your life, it will default to its its normal setting, which is negativity and threat, which is what it's designed to do. So if you're looking at things from a negative perspective, you will find negativity everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I start my day with the gratitude exercise because it sets me up for success for the day. I design my day. I don't just let my day show up.
Yeah.
I look at what's coming in. I look at the clients that I've got coming up. I look at the opportunities that I've got to make a difference during the day. And then every single time I move from one thing in my day to the next, the first thing I do is say, okay, what's my intention for this next hour? What's my intention for this next 2 hours with this particular client? What do I need them to get out of this, and how can I make sure that that happens? Okay? Now, that's not just here in work, that's at home. You know, if I go up to the yard in the morning with the horses and I'm not present, I could get stepped on by the gelding that I'm looking after. I could end up in all sorts of problems and everything there. If I'm coming in here and I'm not really paying attention to what the client's looking for, then I'm going to miss cues that they're giving me of the problems or the traumas or the challenges that they're going through, and then I'm not going to be as effective. So I have to make sure that I am absolutely targeted on what my intention is for those slices of my day. It's the same when I go home. When I park the car, I know I'm going home to my partner, and I'm thinking to myself, right, okay, what's my intention now for this evening? What can I do now to make this a fantastic part of my day? And how can I leave behind here in the office what's happened, what I've experienced, what I've witnessed with other people? Because at the end of the day, Mark, I've got to tell you, I spent a lot of time and a lot of money sorting out my head.
Yeah.
And with all the will in the world, I don't need your shit in there as well.
Yeah. I'm with you.
It's that simple.
I'm with you.
So I've got to create that demarcation, that line where I say, here's my intention for now, right, that's it. I've got there, make my notes, move on to the next thing. What's my intention now?
And it's healthy to do that.
Yeah.
It's healthy because, as you said, otherwise, those lines get blurred and it gets messy very, very quickly.
Yeah.
And before you know it, you're spiraling, but you're not actually spiraling over your issues. You're spiraling over someone else's issues.
Yep.
Who's it's knocked onto you.
Don't get me wrong. There have been times when I've come away from client sessions and I thought, oh my, that's blown me away. What the heck am I going to do with that?
Yeah.
But I also love that because at that point I think to myself, no, I'm going to grow. I'm going to learn something here because I've got to really reach.
Yeah, it's
now.
almost a challenge. being set,
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And I love that because, I love to learn new things and new techniques and everything else. It's one of the things that makes me very effective in what I do.
Yeah.
But for me, to find that new way to help means that there's probably a whole load of other people who are going to come through the door in the coming years that I can use that experience with as well. And that's really powerful to me.
Yeah. How can you teach that then to an individual that hasn't got a structure in their daily routine then? So what I'm saying is, like, an individual that has a job that hasn't got a structure. It's kind of everything they do is different every day. How can you teach that as a gratitude to go, like for instance, a building site, for instance, if you go and you don't know what you're doing until you get there.
Yeah.
How can you kind of teach that to someone where, like you said, there isn't a structure until they're there, sort of thing, in the moment? How do you do that?
I think one of the first things you need to remember is that I set up my day at about 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. Okay, that's when I do my gratitude exercise, first thing in the morning. It's either at the stables or it's in the shower after I come back, but it's the time just for me.
Yeah.
And I look at my day and I look at the different things that are going to happen in that day, and I visualize those things going well, so that I look at what the outcome is that I want to achieve, and I see it as having been done. Okay, now that sets the reticular activating system in my brain to work, because it now knows what the objective is. And because it knows what the objective is, it will look for all the different clues and the different pieces of information that are coming in from all the areas around me that I can then use as opportunities to make it happen.
Right.
Okay? If I don't tell it what the objective is to start with, it's very difficult for it to show me the things that I need to know.
Yeah.
Okay? So that's the first thing. Second thing is, if you've got somebody like, as you say, a builder, for example, who's going onto site, doesn't know what they're going to be doing for the day, what they do know is they're going to be there for maybe 8 hours. They're going to have a lunch break. Yeah? They may have a mid-morning break. So they could set their intention for a 2-hour, 3-hour session. They could say, right, for this next 3 hours, I'm going to be the best bricklayer I can be. I'm going to make sure that this wall is absolutely top-notch. Because one of the things that's going to come from this is people are going to see this wall, they're going to know that I built it, and they're going to want me. All right?
Yeah. That's right.
And so it's about finding sometimes the small things that make the difference. But when you know you've stepped up and you've done the right thing and you've created that wall and you've done it to that, to the best possible way that you can, then you can walk away with pride. Doesn't matter what else is going on. You can say, yeah, I did that.
Yeah.
Look at that. That is a perfect wall.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Well, that's a good way to put it, actually. It's as
And
simple as that.
It only needs to be an hour, 2 hours.
Yeah.
You could set an alarm on your phone to go off after an hour to remind yourself.
Yeah. Take a step back and
Just take a step, take a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
Don't have a cigarette. Wouldn't want to have that happen.
Yeah.
But breathe deeply.
Yeah.
Get yourself recentered. Get back to it.
Okay.
And how kind of aware, how kind of conscious is that gratitude and that intention setting? How kind of how intentional is it from a conscious versus unconscious point of view? And by that, what I mean, is, are you so ingrained in doing it that you're doing it and not really realizing you're doing it because it's coming so naturally, or are you kind of thinking, right, I have to carve out X amount of time?
Even though I've done it for almost 30 years, I still make sure I do it. Now, it doesn't mean that I have to do the entire exercise, okay? Every single client that works with me, I give them the exercise as an audio version, okay? It's the first thing that I send them. Here's the audio version. I want you to start doing it and doing it today. And I want you to do it every single day until we meet. And I will explain why when you come, okay? And it takes 15 minutes. That's all it is, okay? That audio version, people tend to use again and again and again until they get their own version of it. Yeah. They know what works for them. They know how it makes them feel. Now, once you've done that for a while, it almost becomes slightly addictive because positive intention and that feeling of gratitude is something that we think, you know what, that just feels good.
Yeah, it's like a dopamine hit.
It is. I've had people, right, who turn up and I say, right, okay, have you done the gratitude exercise? And they say, no. Right, have you tried it? Yes. And? Didn't work. Why didn't it work? I've got nothing to be grateful for. Really? Okay. So let me ask you this then. If you had to be grateful for something, if I put a gun to your head and said, tell me something you're grateful for, all right, what would it be? Oh, well, if I had to be grateful, then I'd be grateful for blah, 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 you know? Okay. What else? Well, if I had to be grateful, I'd be grateful for the fact that I got up this morning. Okay. What else? Well, I'd be grateful for the fact that it's actually raining today for the first time in a week when we've just had a heat wave and, it's nice for the garden. Oh, okay. So there's 3 things you can be grateful for then to start. So actually, you have got stuff to be grateful for. And they just sort of go, oh.
Yeah, it's like a light bulb.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think people are so in that, not most people then, but some people can be in such a negative... The negative kind of shadows the positive, and they don't realise the positive's there.
Yeah, and what you've said about being in that negative headspace, you will inevitably see the world around you as negative.
Yeah.
We have surveys every couple of months in work.
Yeah.
And I always try to, when we have the feedback sessions about the inevitable feedback sessions, I try to be the voice of reason in that I try to explain that there needs to be some kind of emotional intelligence around it, because I said you have to remember that different people will be in different mental states when they're filling it in. And if you're having a particularly bad day, it doesn't mean that you hate your job or that you dislike what you do for work or whatever. But if you're in that negative mindset, the answers will reflect the negativity that you're having at that moment. Yeah. And I, you know, I've been guilty of it, where I've had a particularly rough couple of days. I've had a survey and I filled up my answers in based on that moment. And if you'd asked me to do it even 2 hours later, when that, you know, the fog is lifted and the red mist, the red mist has gone, it would be a very different set of answers.
Yeah. There's a wonderful Italian proverb. It's actually centered around the emotion of love, but it works great for anger and all the rest of it as well. And the Italians say that a fire in the heart sends smoke to the head. Yeah. And I think that it's a really good metaphor, for the way that it is. But what you've got to remember, okay, if you look at what I do, as you know, my main training is in something called neuro-linguistic programming, NLP, everybody calls it, okay? NLP is like having an owner's manual for your brain. You know, we're not born with an owner's manual. You know, the baby doesn't come out and the midwife goes, there you go, darling, have that, you read that, and everything will make sense, you know? We make it up as we go along.
Absolutely.
And, you know, the baby is learning from its parents or its caregivers, you know, this type of thing. But there's a basis to what it is to be human, okay? And I always think that it comes down to what in NLP terms we put up in 2 sentences. You always get more of what you focus on, and your focus determines your reality. That's it. That's almost the whole of the human condition in 2 sentences. Okay? If your focus is on the negative, you will find it everywhere. But if you focus on the positive, guess what? You find just as much.
Yeah.
That's why I do the gratitude exercise every day. I want to make sure that my day is filled with the things that I want to experience, not the things that I fear will happen. All right. I taught myself a very long time ago, there are certain things in life I can't do anything about. So I'm not going to waste my time and my breath and my energy fighting things that I can't do anything about.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm going to spend my time and energy on things that I can actually affect and have the best possible quality of life I can get from that. Now, that doesn't just turn up, as I said. You've got to create it. Because the part of your brain which is filtering everything, the RAS, okay, it's got a massive job to do. You think that, you know, it's been determined that as human beings, we're taking in about 6 to 10 million pieces of data a moment, every moment of the day. That's way too big for us to deal with.
Oh, absolutely.
So we've got to find a way of shrinking all of that down, deleting massive chunks of what's going on around us. So what's left is what we're focusing on. And what we're focusing on is telling our reticular activating system, this is important, don't delete this, make sure I see it, make sure I experience it. If your life experience is in the negative side, then you're telling your RAS, these are the things I fear, so it's going to show you more examples of it. Whereas if you say, these are the opportunities I want, this is the challenges that I'm going to rise to, this is what excites me, this is what I want to get more of in my life, guess what? It starts showing it to you. You know, you ever bought a new car? You know, new, second-hand, whatever. What car was the last one you got?
It was 3 weeks ago.
Oh, right, okay.
It was an MG.
Right, okay. So you bought an MG. Was it the very first car you bought? You actually looked at?
No.
Okay, so
it was near enough, though.
But you looked around a bit.
I did look around a bit.
Yeah, and you checked your budget.
Yeah.
And you had a look at the options.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you saw that it actually worked for you and it had the right amount of boot space for the family and everything else. Yeah, okay. So you then got the car, and you picked it up, you drove it off the forecourt, and tell me, did you see MGs everywhere?
You know, there was part of me, I knew you were going to say that, because I actually, it happened to me, not so much with the MG, but it happened to me years and years ago. I really wanted the Honda Civic. The other ones that looked like a spaceship. And I was trying to explain to my mother at the time about it, and then I saw one in a car park. That's it. And then all of a sudden, we got in the car, and then
They were everywhere.
They are everywhere.
Yeah.
And
But the point
it was
is,
crazy.
You actually
right?
bought one. That was
I did.
At the point when you bought it,
Yeah.
or the point when you had that
Yeah.
realization, you now start seeing them everywhere.
Yeah.
But
Like I have
before that
noticed
point,
yeah.
were they around? Yes,
Yeah.
they were.
Yeah. Like there's literally, like when we were pulling out of my street,
There's
there was
loads.
an MG block in the way.
Yeah.
There was a blue one on the side, and there was a white. But until I bought I didn't notice they were even there.
No.
If I'm honest.
But that's the reticular activating system in your brain. It's basically sitting there saying, okay, he spent a lot of money, he's had a lot of thought about it, he's picked the options, this is important.
Yeah.
I need to show him every opportunity to see more examples
Yeah.
of what is important. And that's it.
Yeah.
That's the basis of the way that you're conditioned to understand the reality that you're living in.
Yeah.
So for me, the whole point of what I do and how I do it is I go in at that level and say, right, you're currently looking at all the negatives. You're currently experiencing all these challenges. Notice I say challenge, not problem. All right?
Yeah, yeah.
Because problems bring you down. Challenges are something we rise to.
Yeah.
It's use of language, neuro-linguistic programming. Okay? Clever use of language, change the language pattern, change the emotions we get from the language, change the reality that we live in. Yeah?
Interesting.
You know, one of the things I do is something called transformational vocabulary. You know, big words, but I mean, what does it actually mean? All it means is change the words that cause the emotions that you don't want to feel, and you change the emotion. I had a guy with me, he said something like 30 times in 25 minutes that he was depressed. And I stopped him. And I said, oh, hang on. That word, you've got to take that out of your vocabulary. It's banned for the rest of this session, and in fact the rest of this day, and hopefully the rest of your life. You're not allowed to use that word anymore. What do you mean? What do you mean? I said, look, this is how many times you've used it. He said, no, it hasn't. And I had a 5-bar gate system running on my pad, all right?
Yeah.
And I'd written down a load of the examples, and I just turned to him and I said, well, there you go. There's your proof. Did you say this? Oh, yeah. Did you say that? Yeah, that sounds like me. I said, right, take it out. The thing is, his whole way of thinking was based around this one word.
All anchored to the
Take the word out, and suddenly there was a whole new possibility. The change in him was fantastic. It really is something that, you know, people should spend more time concentrating on in their language. Change the negative language you use on an habitual basis. You change the emotional reaction you get to it. You change the reality that you experience.
Let me ask you something. Do you ever feel like you're capable of more, but something keeps on holding you back? That's where Phill comes in. Phill is a professional master coach and a master practitioner in NLP, timeline therapy and hypnotherapy with years of real-world experience building and growing businesses. His passion is simple, helping you reimagine your life or your business, break through limitations and build unstoppable momentum for good. Whether you want a powerful one-off session or ongoing support where Phill walks you through every step of the way, everything is tailored to you and your goals. If you're ready for real, lasting change, Phill might be exactly who you've been looking for. To find out more on what Phill does, just visit phillhanlon.com for more information.
Do you have instances then? Because I know you've mentioned about, obviously, you know, you've had clients who come in with that kind of that negative headspace. Have you had any particular client where it's a challenge in and of itself, not to break them as such, but but to try and, you know, to kind of dispel myth, to try and essentially rewire a brain? Because you know, as an extension, I suppose, are some people's minds, are they beyond repair? Are they broken up here, even to the most successful of therapists?
One of the things I often say to clients is, look, first thing is, relax. You're not broken.
Yeah.
You're simply running a series of patterns that aren't serving you. Okay? All we need to do is find out what those patterns are, change the patterns, change your life. Job done. Now, it sounds very simplistic, but you got to remember that the way that I do it is to try and get people to realize how simple human beings really are. We might be at the top of the evolutionary ladder, okay, and we are, but we're incredibly simplistic. We're all running the same software at the end of the day. Unless we've, by a defect of birth or maybe through an accident, we've had some kind of injury to the brain which changes the way that things are running. Apart from that, we're pretty much all working the same. Doesn't matter whether we're three lads sitting in Cardiff, okay, or whether we're a farmer in Kyoto in Japan, or an American Indian on the plains of Montana, or an Inuit in an igloo in, the Arctic Circle or something. We're all running the same patterns, all right? Now, on that basis, and when you've been doing this as long as I have, you realize that there are patterns that repeat themselves. So as people really aren't broken, they're just running patterns that aren't serving them. My job is to discover those patterns, get them to discover what they're doing and why they're doing it, and choose better options. That, in a nutshell, is what I do. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. Yeah, well, yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. There are clients that come in and they are incredibly challenging. I've had a few over the years where I think to myself, I'm not sure on this. I really need to up my game here. And I've also had one or two that I've thought, actually, this is not a client for me. Okay. Now I know what my values are. I know what my limitations are. I know what my challenges are. Right? I've had a lot of them over my life. I have royally screwed up in parts of my life, which is one of the reasons why I'm good at what I do, because I've had to dig myself out of the holes and I've had to learn. I'm not somebody who's just come out of college, no life skills, no experience whatsoever, and suddenly they want to, fix everybody else. I've been there. I've done it. I've had the desperate moments where I have literally been on the edge, and if I'd had the guts, I wouldn't still be here. All right? I've had those experiences. I've got 2 failed marriages. One was my fault. One wasn't. So I look at it from both sides. I've got that experience. But there are certain things that I won't tolerate. So as a business, I support an organization that helps to rescue children from sex slavery. Okay? So I won't work with anybody who has that challenge in their life. That's not for me. I've done it once, and it touched too many raw nerves for me. In fact, one of my colleagues, a master practitioner that I've worked with for a long time, after about 2 or 3 weeks, he said, "There's still something funny about you at the moment. What is it? What's going on?" And I started talking about it. He said, "I know exactly what it is." He said, "That individual broke. They crossed all of your most important values. That's why you were incensed by it." So there are certain times when you think, "Yeah, I've got to step back from this. This one isn't for me." And I'm lucky. This is my business. This is what I do. It's what my passion is. And there are so many people out there that do need a helping hand. They do need some guidance. That the odd one or two that I do come across and say, "No, that's not for me. That's not what I specialize in. However, I can point you in this direction." I would never leave anybody out in the cold. Go to these people. They will take you on and they will work with you.
Well, it's kind of the thing, and it is like we were talking earlier. You've got to think of yourself as well. So you're not sending them away because you don't want to do it. It's just you can't because it'll affect your mental health, and you don't want to go back into that spiral yourself, sort of thing. Even though you probably can get yourself back out of it, but it's not the thing you want to do, is it? Really, it's like when we were saying about taking clients to your house, for instance. You don't want that there because it could affect you in the long run.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's like that.
I've worked from home before. It didn't work for me.
No.
Okay. Being in the same environment all the time is not good for me. I need to get out. I need to have a demarcation between where my private life is and where my business life is. What I'm doing. It's healthy for me to do that. When I was working from home before, I found myself going further and further into depression. It's one of the reasons, as I say, that I've got good life experience, because I have found myself in those patterns myself, and I've had to pull myself out of those and find ways of being able to cope and find ways of being able to heal. You know? So I look at those things and I think, yes, I recognize that. You know, if someone comes to work with me, they will hear every one of my stories, okay? Because I use my life experience as an example. And don't get me wrong, there are sometimes I would use other clients as well. I've always checked with them that they're happy for me to use their story, and I change gender and where they're from and what they do, and nobody could ever find them. And as I say, I get it signed off that they're happy for me to use their story. But some people's stories, and as you guys know from the guests that you have on the show, they're so inspirational.
Absolutely.
They're incredible. Why would you not use these stories to help somebody else to see that there is light? There is a way forward. And that to me is just gold dust. You know?
Absolutely.
I agree with that. And, I think as well, it's the mark of a good therapist, but it's the mark of a good individual in general, that you can have that moment and say, listen, I'm not the person for you. Because I would guess that in today's culture and in the market that you're in, that for as many very good people as there are, very skilled and very professional and very caring people, there are also those who will take what they can get, even if it's too much for them. And they'll say, oh yeah, I'll help you. And they may not have the skills, they may not really want to do it. So I think it says a lot about the individual, where you'll say, listen, I'm not your man, but this person is. I've often likened it to like in football, where you see teams and fans and manage, and they'll try and keep a particular player because that player is the best player probably that they'll ever have. But the player can go higher. And the real good manager, in my opinion, is the manager that'll let the player go.
Absolutely.
Because the selfishness of, oh yeah, I'll keep you here and I'll kind of dim your fire, but we'll do really well out of you. But you won't reach your potential. That always kind of unnerves me. Even though I'll be gutted if the best player from my favourite team needs to go. But so I think that's.
I think it's the mark of a true leader to be able to spot that talent and spot that opportunity for them and say, look, you do need to step up there. You're only going to get held back here. And at the end of the day, it comes back on them as well. If they've done the right thing, that individual is going to recognize that and is going to help that person's career anyway. Those managers who push people on in sport, they always get recognized. When you listen to the end of the year, when you've got Sports Personality of the Year, how many times do you hear them saying, I remember when I was starting off and this coach pushed me and gave me this opportunity.
Absolutely. And within your world, in your line of work, we talk about levels in all different types of work, but there's obviously there's levels, there's knowledge, there's experience. Being really candid and really you can say it how it is.
Okay. What's coming now?
How does it make you feel to have a passion of yours for the better part of 30 years, something that you've dedicated time, money. You've got more certificates than I knew there were courses.
I like a certificate,
right? And but you've invested in this in a lifestyle to help others. How do you then feel about this growing emergence of life coaches, help gurus who last week were trying something else on Instagram? And because that doesn't work, how many kind of fair weather therapists, as it were, compared to?
It's a very good question. Okay. About 8 months, I'll give you a good example. About 8 months ago, I had a new client come to me. They were referred to me and walked through the door. We were having a little initial conversation. And he said, all right, you're not the first person I've seen. I said, yeah, okay, get that. He said, yeah. He said, in fact, you're currently the fourth. Okay. And this is going to be interesting. I said, so, okay, tell me, what's happened. He said, well, the first person I went to see was an NHS provider. I'm not dissing the NHS. They do an incredible job, okay? They're just so overworked and so underfunded. And we were only able to do, I think it was 6 sessions, and we were only just getting started. I just felt like I was starting to get somewhere, and then bang, they pulled the plug. I said, oh, that was unfortunate. He said, the next person I went to see was very good, seemed to be good in the first session, but then when I went to try and book the second session, they'd left. They decided to, kick it into touch. Yeah. They didn't want to do the job anymore. Okay. Third one I went to see, I couldn't believe this, opened the session by saying, so, you're my very first client. Oh. Not quite sure where we're going to go with this. God. He said, I just looked at him and went, oh, great. So I'm your guinea pig. In fact, he told me he got up and left. Oh, okay. He said, like, this isn't for me.
Yeah.
All right.
Fair enough.
And I thought, great, fair enough. I think that when people come to somebody like me, they're looking for somebody who's been around the block a bit, okay, that has got that life experience. Now, don't get me wrong. I've trained some therapists, some people coming into the industry, or I've assisted in their training, where I think this person has got a real passion. They really are going to do something in the future. But right now, they need to take this learning and apply it to themselves and become the best possible version that they can be of themselves, so that then they're able to go and help other people. There's a phrase you hear quite often in therapy, coaching, whatever, that says that we are best equipped to help the people we used to be. Okay. Because we understand them. I've had people through here who they've toyed with suicide. I've had people who have been abused. I've had people with all sorts of different traumas and challenges through their lives. Now, I've never been abused myself. Okay, I've been bullied massively as a child, so I have some understanding of some of the challenges there. And I've had many other challenges in my life. But that just enables me to be able to look deeper and say, okay, I remember how that felt. I know how I wanted to get out of that. That just ignites even more of a passion for me to say, I'm going to do everything I can to help you through this, out the other side, and get you the quality of life that you deserve and you really want to have. And everybody can have.
Yeah.
So I think that, to answer your question, I think it's a shame that there are a lot of people out there who do who kind of pay lip service to it. They go onto Facebook and they get a $7 accreditation. Good God, please save me from them. Okay, a friend of mine, he's passed on now, unfortunately, but he used to have a tire business. All right. And I said to him once when he was putting a new tyre on for me, I said, you've always got this big stock of different tyres, different price ranges and everything else. He said, yeah. He said, well, some people they need something a bit cheaper. Okay. He said, but if you were bringing your daughter's car in here, would you want the £25 tyre with the remold? Or would you want the £150 tyre that is a run flat and is guaranteed and will keep her safe? Now, as a father, I know what I would choose. Okay. Now, when people come to see me, they're not coming to see me because, they've got a splinter. They're seeing me because they have a real challenge that it's challenging everything in their life in many instances. Now, do you want to go to somebody that charges £20 an hour, that's just done a course, or do you want to come to somebody who's serious, that this is their life's passion,
Yeah.
and they will? I mean, the number of times I overrun on my sessions is ridiculous, because I just see something landing, and I want to plow in there and say, right, you're getting this.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You paid for an hour, but you're getting 2.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And to me, that lights me up. And if you think there are 6 basic human needs: love and connection, significance, certainty, variety, growth, and contribution. Now, if you can find ways of being able to meet all of those needs, you have a great life. But to me, it's all about the 6th, contribution. Doing the right thing for the right reason, just because it's right. Not needing something in return, not looking for something in return. Don't get me wrong, I've got to eat. I've got to pay the bills for this place,
Yeah.
okay? But at the end of the day, when I'm working with a client, I'm not clock watching, and I don't want them to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want them at 55 minutes thinking, oh, he's going to overrun. Is this going to cost me more? So if I say to somebody, you're going to pay this, that's what they pay.
Yeah.
And if I run over by an hour or 2, that's my problem.
Yeah.
That's a new,
All right? Because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
But that's what gets me the referrals. That's what gets me the testimonials.
Yeah.
Because I make sure that I get the client where they need to be.
Yeah.
Now, you can't do that unless you've got that passion,
Yeah.
unless that's your driver.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, if you contribute to that level, do you grow? Yes. Do you get variety? Masses. Are you certain that it's going to feel good? Yeah. Do you get significance out of it? Absolutely. And you get love and connection, so you get all 6 human needs in one.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, I'm so passionate about it. You see all the hair on my arms is standing up,
I'm going to say, but
right? I love what I do. I'm one of those rare people that has just found something that they're so totally passionate about. And I've gone out and made sure that I can make a difference with it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
And
brilliant.
it's...
was there ever a moment, Phil, was there ever a time where you thought, as much as I love it, I can't make it work as a full-time thing,
As a business.
as a business? Was there ever that moment where you thought, you know what, no matter how much I plough in, there's just...
I think any new business that you start, you have to have there's that lag time, isn't there? You know, that from the moment that you make the decision to do it to the moment it becomes economically viable. Yeah. And certainly in this industry, it's as hard as any to make that initial impression, right? So you do have to put in the long hours. You've got to put in the hard work. You've got to do the socials. You've got to do all the, you spend 80, 90% of your time drumming up business and 10% actually doing the job, which is crazy when you think about it. But over time, that starts to snowball.
Yeah.
And then you start getting the referrals, and then you start getting people looking you up. And that's when it starts feeling like you're getting somewhere.
Yeah.
I set this business up back in November 21. I'd been primary carer for my mother who had dementia, and she passed in November 21. I was working for a corporate at the time, as you well know, because we were working together. And I was offered, the day after she passed, I was offered voluntary redundancy. And the timing was perfect. And then on top of that, because I took the redundancy, I was able to get some training grants from Careers Wales, which meant that all those certificates over there that you were leading to earlier on, some of those were able to be paid for by Careers Wales, which was great. So I got a certificate out of it, which was paid for by the central government, in something that I was already passionate about and already knew a great deal about, and I was already using a lot of the tools and techniques anyway, but then I just needed to be certified so that I could start this business and be successful. And then you've got to spend that time constantly driving at it. But, if you are that passionate, It's just something you've got to do.
Mm.
You know, I think Richard Branson said years ago, didn't he? If you wrote out everything that you had to do to get to where you were as a success, you would never start.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because it
Right?
would overwhelm. It
Absolutely.
would overwhelm. And it would just, there's just, this mountain is just too big. I'm going to leave it there.
But I mean, he also said that if a man finds something that he's passionate about and makes a career out of it, he'll never work a day in his life.
Yeah, that's true.
And that, to me, is exactly what happens for me.
So what did, to really throw a spanner in the works, what did young Phill want to be? When you were a kid, when you were a youngster, because I can't imagine that you imagined this is what you're going to do when you were young. So what was the dream, the goal, the aim?
Do you know what? As far as young Phill is concerned, all I actually wanted was to be accepted. That was it. I had a very tough childhood. Okay, I had two incredible parents who were the most giving, supportive people I could ever have asked for as my parents, and my sister is just second to none. We're a very close family. Both parents now, unfortunately, have passed on, but they were incredible at giving us those opportunities in life to experience foreign travel when it just wasn't a thing. You know, go and stay with your auntie in America, go over to New Zealand and, go hitchhiking around the North Island, all the different things that we did, as a family. It was absolutely phenomenal. But when it came to day-to-day things, back home, in school, the bullying, everything that I went through in those days, all I actually wanted was to be accepted, to be one of the group, to feel like I fitted in, and I never did. And it was a massive challenge to me. So knowing what I wanted to do with my life in that point didn't even come into my thought process. I got out of school as fast as I possibly could. O-levels, out the door. That was it. As soon as I didn't have to step foot in there anymore, that was that was a blessing for me. But then it was like, well, what do I do now? Well, what I'll do is I'll drift into a job. My mother said, well, why don't you become a civil servant? So I became a civil servant. I was the world's worst civil servant. I honestly did not give a shit. All right? I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what even the department that I was working for, I didn't even know what they did. All right? That's how naive I was, And then series of different things happened. I met somebody who became my first wife. And she was a recruitment consultant at the time. She got me to move into sales. And suddenly I thought, actually, I can do this. This is something I'm actually good at. And I progressed, and I went into various companies over several years, worked my way up into a very senior position. Then the industry fell apart. I was actually back in the civil service by that point, but from a customer-facing role. Margaret Thatcher at the time, the Prime Minister, decided to privatise the company, or the department I was in. I got offered voluntary redundancy, went to set up my own business. That was in event management, because I've been doing a lot of event management as part of my job. So I started doing things like big award ceremonies around the country and into Europe. I was designing and building exhibition stands for big companies and roadshowing those, and having a very nice life. In the meantime, I'd got divorced, got remarried. That was all going fine. We had some children, and life was good. But I was running the business from home, and that was starting to take its toll, because I was working in a very customer-facing way, these great big events. But when I was planning them and actually doing the work, I was on my own.
Okay.
And that wasn't good for me.
No.
So there was one point where I literally was waving the wife and kids off to school and off to work, and I would go and get back into bed and pull the covers over my head and hope the whole world would go away. And that got me into a really deep hole, And so I moved then into more TV and film production. So I helped buy out a group of companies there, which got me out of home and into a working environment. So that was really good for me. And then guess what happened? Financial crash, 2008, 2009.
Yes.
So many of our contracts were public sector, rug pulled out from underneath us overnight, bang. What do we do from here? Aggressive takeover, lost that, off that went. And I thought, right, what do I do now? I know what I'll do. I'll go and work for Admiral. Short term,
Yeah.
as
That's
so
how it
many people do.
Yeah.
11 years later,
I was only there
I
for
was
6
still
months.
there. You know,
Yeah.
I honestly thought, I'll go and do something that I know I can do. Just be on the phones and just do a bit of sales. Allow somebody else to worry about the VAT man
Yeah.
and the the tax and all the rest of it, and just do 9 to 5, do my job, come home, rebuild life. And within 6 months, I was back making films for Admiral.
Yeah.
As you
Yeah, I
probably remember the training films,
Yeah,
communication strategies, all that
But
sort
I
of
used to
stuff.
do the monthly awards. And,
Yeah,
and all
used to
that sort of
roadshow
stuff.
those around all the offices and everything. Yeah, absolutely. And I loved it. I had a great time. But for me, in the background, I had this passion for, what it is that makes people do what they do.
Yeah.
And more importantly, what actually stops them from achieving what they
potential.
can achieve. What is it that's holding them back? And so I would be watching people, and I'd be listening to team meetings, and I'd be looking at individuals, and I'm always, curious about what's going on. So after that 11 years, I had to take some time away from the business because I was a primary carer for my mum, as I said. When she passed then and the voluntary redundancy was offered, I just thought, do you know what? It's time. It really is. I've got to follow my heart. I've got to follow my passion. I've got to do what I know I'm good at, and I know what I'm called to do. And that's why I'm here.
Can't ask for fairer than that. Cannot ask for fairer than that. But I suppose like you say, you've had a varied life.
Yeah.
You've had a full life.
Yeah.
In many respects. Do you have regret?
No. Full stop.
I somehow knew you were going to say that, but I was.
Let me qualify that. Let me qualify that. Okay. Are there things that are in my past that I wish hadn't happened? Yes. Are there things that I wish I hadn't done? Yes. However, if someone said to me, here's a magic wand, you can go back and you could change all of that, would I? No. Because whatever I would change would mean I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you. Now, don't get too big-headed about that, okay? I wouldn't be here in this room. I wouldn't be doing this job.
No.
I wouldn't be having the impact that I have with the clients that I work with, because I wouldn't be the man that I am now, because I wouldn't have that wealth of experience of those challenges that I've gone through. Some of them are my own making, some of them others. And those things have created the man that's sitting here. That's my strength. That's my superpower. So if I was to go back and start meddling with that and changing things, that wouldn't make sense. I didn't have a particularly good first marriage. And when I look back on that marriage, there are things on both sides that I wish was different. However, if I hadn't met her, I wouldn't have necessarily changed from the job that I was in into the sales job I was in, which eventually led to me meeting my second wife, which meant that I had my 2 children, which now means I have 2 grandchildren.
Okay.
Now, if I were to say, well, I regret that first marriage, then that by default means that I am meddling with the idea that I might not have my grandchildren or my children. Or be in the relationship that I've been in now for the last 19 years. Right? So I think it's really important that we understand that our model of the world, which is the only thing that's unique about us, is the sum total of all of our experiences and our decisions and the order of all of those that's happened all the way through our lives, which has created the person that we are now.
Yeah.
Why would we mess with that?
That's a
true.
fair point.
Yeah,
Fair point.
yeah, absolutely.
Shut me up, Em.
Well, that's the first.
I didn't mean to shut you
Thirty-
down,
No,
Mark,
no,
but
39 episodes.
I think it's important, isn't it?
Yeah,
to
no,
to realise.
It is.
And
I
it's
think reframing it as well is really important.
let me tell you this, right? I mentioned before about the gratitude exercise that I do. There are times in my life when I'm doing the gratitude exercise that I will be grateful for the mistakes I've made. That I will be grateful for the things that have happened to me that on the face of it I shouldn't be. Simply because I know what they've led to.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I do that.
Yeah.
That's why I do that whole process, because it puts everything into perspective.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think we should.
Happy with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, other than in your office, or with the horses, or with the family, or getting a certificate, where can people find you?
Oh gosh. What, generally or online?
Yeah, well, yeah. If people wanted to access your services,
Okay. So
that made it sound like a hit man. Right?
yeah, usual things. I mean, my website is Phill Hanlon at Phill at philhanlon.com. Don't forget, Phil's got 2 L's.
Yeah.
2 L's.
Yeah, I'm very precious about that second L. My parents gave it to me, and I make sure that I use it. Okay, but I mean, I all the usual socials, Instagram. I've got a Facebook account that I don't really use a great deal, but you know, Instagram's usually my usual one, or LinkedIn. I'm sure you will put some links in this
indeed,
for people to
We will.
to follow, and of course there are also links in the many episodes that I've sponsored of yours.
Yes, of course.
We're very grateful.
I think it's also very important to make a point here, which is why I chose to sponsor you guys.
Okay.
Okay, and I think it's something that people probably don't realize when they watch the episodes why people get involved. Okay, it's not just about getting my name out there. All right, I saw what you guys were doing right at the beginning. You know, several series ago. I listened to a couple of the podcasts, and to be honest with you, I was bowled over. I listened and I thought, these are real people asking real questions of things that hurt in lots of people's lives. And all you were doing was just following the passion to uncover those and give people the opportunity to be inspiring to others. And I've got to take my hat off to you, because you guys have been amazing in what you've done.
Oh, thank you very much.
And I
means a lot.
saw that, and I thought, what you do in this public arena is a forward-facing version of what I do in here on a daily basis.
Yeah.
All right? And if I couldn't get behind you and say, well done, get on with it, here's a bit of cash,
Yeah.
do what you can do and do more of this,
Yeah.
then I would have been doing a disservice. You know, as I said before about contribution.
Yeah.
My small contribution in sponsorship helps you
Absolutely.
to be out there uncovering more stories,
Yeah.
helping to affect more lives.
Thank you.
And I
We
just think
appreciate
that's invaluable. So, you know, long may you continue, basically,
Thank you.
guys.
Thank you.
Yeah. I think we got life in us yet.
Oh, wow.
I
There've
hope
been
so.
a couple, there've been a couple of moments where, you know, we thought, because we were chatting on me about it, and
Yeah.
there was a time when certainly I was sat and I thought, if we get to 5 episodes, we are stealing it.
Yeah.
We are
Yeah.
stealing
Yeah.
people's time.
Yeah.
Because what the hell do they want to listen to us for?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you started getting selfishly something out of it yourself, where it was acting almost as like therapy for us.
Yeah.
Because we're meeting these amazing people, as you said, inspiring people, and such a range of stories, and I've always been drawn to stories and storytelling, and it was important for me when we would chat to people,
Yeah.
and they just, they felt safe, and they would come up, and I was thinking, I know it's your story, but why don't more people know this?
Yeah.
Because it's unique to you, but it's not unique.
Yes.
And it could very well help someone else. And
Yeah.
we've been really fortunate in that, we've put out episodes and we've had private messages and comments on them, and where they've said, no, I needed to see that.
Yeah.
And we didn't do it for that intentionally.
No.
But when you start, as you said, when you start getting that bite
Yeah,
and that
absolutely.
success of, hang on a minute, this has got legs, there is a sense of obligation.
Yeah.
Where you do think, well, we'll keep doing it until the wheels fall off.
Yeah.
Ultimately, because there are still stories out there to be told. We'll take a short hiatus, as we do every year, for ourselves. So because we need to reset and we need to recharge ourselves.
Of course.
Because as you mentioned about kind of taking it home with you, we'll be someplace, and it sounds crazy to the uninitiated maybe, and the individuals who don't get it. But you say, I'm knackered, and they say, why? I just talked for 2 hours. And I was like, yeah, but you don't. But
don't understand,
you
like-
don't realise, emotionally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know we've been so blessed with guests, and they've taken that leap where they've thought, I'm gonna say something that sometimes they've never said to anybody, and they're putting it out there so anyone with an internet connection can see it, and that's and that means a lot to us, because you're obviously trusting us to tell your story.
But no, we have some heavy stories, don't we? But then
of course we do.
some obviously when we do it in Merthyr, it's kind of like we walk to the car park, right? Shake hands, that'll do, ta-ra.
Yeah.
But then the next day,
we'll always check.
on each other. But like the good thing with this is when we go coming down to you in Cardiff, to Tidy Butty in Cwmbran, we've got that drive home, and we just debrief then, don't we?
And
we just let it all out, sort of
we're
thing.
just going to decompress, because, like you said, sometimes you'll go in and lock the door behind you, and the dog will come up to you, and my missus will be there, and she, how'd it go? And I feel awful sometimes, and kind of like cheating her out of the full answer by saying, yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
Because it's more than good. It was fantastic, and it was good. But it was so layered. I'm like, I'm still processing myself. Ask me tomorrow. We'll have a full conversation about it.
Yeah.
But it's I've said for a long time, we're lucky, we're blessed.
It's interesting, actually, because one of the things that that I do a lot of is something called timeline therapy. And timeline therapy is actually a content-free type of therapy where the person doesn't have to go through and experience the trauma from their past to be able to actually release it.
Yeah.
Okay? And from the client's perspective, they actually only have to do 3 things. They have to keep their eyes shut from the moment I tell them to shut them to the moment I tell them to open them. Say the first thing that comes into their head when I ask them a question, however ridiculous or unconnected it needs to be, and follow my directions.
Yeah.
That's all they have to do.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
Which actually is piece of piss, right? Okay? From my perspective as the therapist, oh my God, I'm working hard, right? Because I'm reading every muscle movement in that face. I am making sure that they're getting everything they need. I'm interpreting what's coming in. I'm feeding it back to them. I'm getting them to make changes. I'm getting them to make decisions. I'm being their tour guide throughout the entire process of their life in many ways.
Yeah.
Okay? But at the end of and it can be a full day, this process. Right? So at the end of the day, we've worked with anger, fear, sadness, hurt, and guilt, the top 5 negative emotions.
Yeah.
Right? And you think, oh my God, that's going to be massive for the individual. And it is. You see the difference that it makes in individuals.
Yeah.
Our receptionist here, about 6 months ago, she said to me, I love watching your clients. I said, what? She said, they walk through the door, they're bent over double, they're looking at the floor. By the time they leave, they're 3 inches tall and they've got a dirty, great big grin on their face. I don't know what you do up there, but keep doing it. Right? And this is it.
Yeah.
For me, I walk away from a timeline therapy session and I am drained. Right? I'm absolutely knackered.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's quite intense from the practitioner's
Yeah, yeah.
perspective. From the individual, they just got their life back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All that negativity, all that repressed negative emotion and everything else, bang, gone. Put back in the past where it needs to be.
Yeah.
And left there once and for all.
Yeah.
And it's just so freeing and it's brilliant. But as you say, you walk through the door and my partner, she'll say to me, a good day, did it go well? And I go, yeah. Well, what happened? Well, I can't tell you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's client confidentiality for a start. But I can't because I'm still processing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard. It is
Yeah.
That happens quite a lot.
Yeah.
And it's that how can I put it? It's that point as well now where, depending on who the guest is and what the subject matter is,
Yeah.
you've kind of you've got to be kind of prepared to a degree to kind of fight a little bit, because we've had guests. And this may sound really big-headed, and I apologise to anyone who has been a guest way insult right here, right now. But already, he's already thinking, well, I'll have to edit this. But what I'm going to say is...
Leave that bit in.
What I'm going to say is, like, there's some points where I don't think that they realise they need to say some of the stuff they say until they're sat in the chair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's for me and it's for Joe to kind of see it, like you said, and then to think, hang on a minute, and then to pull it.
Yeah.
It's quite often when I'm doing that, when I'm delving and things are coming out and I'm starting to push further, I always know when I've got to the real challenge. And because the physiology changes.
Yeah.
They almost go childish.
Yeah.
Don't know whether you've picked that up. There's something that comes out that it's almost like, oh, I haven't recognised that before.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I had it happen to me. When I was doing my masters, and there was a particular point that we were working through, and I was working with a group, and we were working off each other with different techniques. And this one particular technique, the person I was working with just couldn't get me to where I needed to be. And then one of the trainers came over and said, Phil, let's go for a walk. All right? And we walked outside, and he literally took me by the shoulders, turned me to the wall, and he said, is the problem this? And I went, no. He said, is the problem this? No. I said, is the problem this? He'd kept the third one. He knew what the problem was. He was good. And I just looked at him, and I literally fell to pieces. Because it was the first time that I'd ever heard it out loud.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
And this is quite often the case. When people say those things for the first time, they realise, oh my goodness,
Yeah.
that's been there all this time.
Yeah,
Tony
that's mad.
Robbins, the American peak performance coach, he talks about a primary question, something that drives you through your life and it drives your behaviour. Growing up, going through all the bullying and everything else that I had, I know my primary question was, how can I be enough so that everybody loves me?
Yeah.
And that predisposes, A, that I can do something
Yeah.
to make everybody love me, and also that everybody can love me.
Yeah.
The stupidity of it is that I don't love everybody.
No.
So how can I possibly expect everybody else to?
Yeah.
Now, once I realised that that was the primary question that was driving me, I could see all of the things that I'd done to try and make that happen, how that had held me back, how it had changed me in all sorts of different circumstances. I'd become a social chameleon, all sorts of different things. And I wasn't being true to myself. Changed the question, changed my whole outlook.
Yeah.
Right? But it takes sometimes that one point where you just think, have I really done that? Is that really what's behind this?
Yeah.
And that's a wonderful position from my perspective as the therapist to be in, to uncover that, to see that realization and say, okay, now we found that, what are we going to do about it? How are we going to change that? How do you really want to be?
Yeah.
Now that that's no longer something that's going to hold you back,
Yeah.
what can we build?
Yeah. Well,
Get booked in, son.
I know I will. I know. I'm a changed man.
Oh, Phil, thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Absolutely my pleasure.
Honest, on a personal level, on a... Is this professional? It kind of is professional.
Yeah.
On all levels.
Yeah.
But no, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Absolutely my pleasure.
Thank you for your support, your continued support. It means a lot to us. It really does.
And I hope you have many, many more certificates.
Oh, I'll always find something.
Even if it's like a 400-meter swim.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
You know,
I'm
the
not
one
sure
with the
about
Tony
that.
the
I'll tell you
Tiger.
what, I won a dressage competition on the weekend.
cool.
Yeah, there you go. That's another certificate I can stick out. Actually, I've got a rosette, and that's in the
That'll
stable.
do.
I think that's more for the
I
horse
never
than me.
got my swimming badges.
No, not me.
And I can swim.
Yeah, me too. I just
But
didn't get them.
in the eyes of, I could say the eyes of the Lord, I can't. I can swim, but I haven't got a Tony the Tiger.
No, me. Didn't go to Grimvaran after school.
And it would be frowned upon now.
It would.
If I was a 37-year-old in a pool of 6-year-olds just slamming the lengths in, pushing kids out the way with asbestos coming from the ceilings. But yeah, Phil, thank you very much.
Thank
My
you.
pleasure.
Much appreciated.
Good to have you guys here.
And go and check out Phil on all his socials.
Yeah, we link them somewhere.
And we will put the links in, and we will see you soon.
See you soon. Take it easy. Take care. Bye.